Listening Library presents Cinderella by Disney Press. Adapted by Elizabeth Rudnick. Read for you by Cassandra Morris.
Prologue. Once upon a time, there lived a handsome man and a beautiful woman. They were kind, gentle, and generous to all. The man worked hard to make his wife happy, and his wife loved him wildly. They lived in a quaint home in the middle of a beautiful kingdom. A large meadow behind the house provided flowers through spring and summer, and in a small field, sweet lambs grazed beside content cows. It was a home filled with cheer. When the husband and wife had a perfect baby girl, the home became happier still. They named the baby Ella, and from the moment she was born, she was their little princess. True, she had no title or crown or castle, but she was the ruler of her own little kingdom. The forest and meadow were her borders, and the birds in the air and the critters in the fields were her subjects. Whether she pretended to be an elephant traipsing through the Sahara or a wild horse galloping through the meadow, everyone, from the mice in the house to the cooks in the kitchen, was happy to play along. Both animal and human alike fell under her enchantment, happier when in her presence. Chapter 1. Spring had arrived in the kingdom. The grass in the meadow was a bright green, and flowers grew tall in their beds. Baby lambs grazed in the meadow, while ducks flapped around in a small fountain near the main house. Stepping through the front door, 10-year-old Ella inhaled deeply and smiled. She reached into her pocket and closed her small hand around the breadcrumbs she had gotten from the kitchen. She skipped toward the ducks splashing about and began throwing the crumbs into the water. The ducks pecked at the bread, thrilled to have a treat. But they were not the only ones who wanted some. In an instant, sparrows flew down from the nearby trees, and even the goats and sheep began to make their way over. Soon it was chaos as all the animals and birds tried to get to the bread. Ella waded among the throng, moving some of the bigger birds out of the way. "You there," she said to one particularly large duck. "What do you think you're doing? Let the little ones have their share." Turning toward a goat with a rather large clump of grass in his mouth, Ella added, "Goliath, do take some time to chew your food. We don't want you getting an upset stomach." A gentle laugh surprised Ella, and she turned around. Her mother was standing nearby, an amused expression on her face. "Do you still believe that they understand you?" she asked. A look of doubt filled Ella's bright blue eyes. "Don't they?" "Oh, yes," she assured her daughter. "I believe that animals listen and speak to us, if only we have the ear for it. That is how we learn to look after them." A big smile spread across Ella's face. Then she frowned. "Who looks after us?" "Fairy godmothers, of course," her mother answered. Ella's eyes grew wide. "And do you believe in them?" "I believe in everything," Ella's mother replied. Ella was quiet for a moment, her mother's words running through her head. She nodded. "Then I believe in everything too." "Which is just as it should be," her mother declared. Just then, Ella heard the sound of hoofbeats coming up the drive. She knew those hoofbeats. Ella let out a squeal before taking off across the meadow, heading for the drive. Her father was home. Ella's father was often gone for long stretches of time on merchant business. and when he was away, the house was just a little less bright. "Papa!" Ella shouted, skipping the few remaining steps that separated her from her father. "Welcome home!" Ella's father lifted her into his arms, nearly squishing her in a giant bear hug. She hugged back as hard as her little 10-year-old arms would allow. Then she took a deep breath, inhaling the smell of road and dust that accompanied her father whenever he returned. She loved the smell, even though she knew Mother would force him into a hot bath as soon as possible. After several moments, Ella slid to the ground. As was part of her routine, she stepped up to Galahad and affectionately put her hand on his muzzle. The horse leaned into her. When Ella turned back around, her eyes widened with excitement. Her father was holding out a beautifully wrapped gift. "What is it?" Ella asked eagerly. "Oh, nothing but a cocoon," her father replied. "I found it hanging on a tree." Ella raised an eyebrow. She knew it wasn't just a cocoon. Her father was teasing her. Ella's father gently shook the gift. "But I think there may be something inside." He held out the package, and very carefully, Ella unwrapped the gift. Then she let out a delighted gasp. Inside was the most beautiful and marvelous toy butterfly she had ever seen. With a practiced move, Ella's father took it and made the creature flutter around Ella's face. It looked like it was alive. "In French," her father explained, "that is un papillon." Ella repeated the phrase, the words funny on her tongue. Her father had been teaching her French whenever he was home, and she was slowly becoming more fluent. He said that a true lady knew the language of the poets as well as the language of the farmer. "Très bon!" her father cried after she had repeated the phrase several times. Then he held out his hand. "Voulez-vous danser, mademoiselle?" "S'il vous plaît," Ella exclaimed, dipping into a curtsy. Her father smoothly swept her into his arms, and they began to waltz their way up the rest of the drive to where Ella's mother waited, a happy smile on her face. Later that night, Ella lay tucked in her bed. The butterfly sat on the nightstand in a place of honor, while her mother sat on the covers, holding a beautiful book. Her gentle voice filled the room as she told Ella a story about a faraway land, a large ogre, and a dashing prince. Ella's eyelids fluttered as she tried to stay awake. Looking down at her sweet daughter snuggled in her arms, Ella's mother began to sing a familiar lullaby. "Lavender's blue, dilly-dilly, lavender's green. When I am king, dilly-dilly, you shall be queen." Her voice drifted off as Ella's father entered the room. He placed a gentle kiss on his daughter's forehead. Smiling, Ella's mother began the final refrain. Ella woke, and her soft voice joined in. "Lavender's green, dilly-dilly, lavender's blue. You must love me, for I love you." As the song came to a close, Ella's parents stood up and began to blow out the candles one by one. Walking to the doorway, they turned to take another look at their sleeping angel. In that moment, everything seemed as it should be. They knew themselves to be the most fortunate people, to live as they did, and to love each other so. However, sorrow can come to any kingdom, no matter how happy.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?